Hi guys! So, how's it going today? That's the least wobbly way to do this. So, hi. I wanted to talk today about the hamster wheel. Sorry, let me take my glasses off. So the hamster wheel is something that I personally get stuck in all the time. Getting stuck in an activity trap. So wanting to do loads of work and move forward with business and life and all sorts of stuff, but you get trapped in a kind of detail or learning something and doing it at the same time, and you kind of end up going around in a circle. You're not making very much progress. So I was thinking about a few of the activity traps that I have and that I know and the people that I work with sometimes have as well. So the first one on my list, because I made some notes today, is planning. Now this is a bit of a weird one for me to say because I'm all about planning and telling people to set goals and set tasks and timelines and list it all out and map it all out. So I'm a big fan of all that stuff, and I personally get stuck in planning mode sometimes because it's exciting to look at all the potential things that you could do and the avenues you could go down, and getting caught up with like having nice stationery as well. Maybe that's just me though. But the planning phase is a very important phase of any project, but it's good to have a timer on it so that when your timer goes beep or your deadline is up, you move on to actually implementing it and going through the stages of making that plan come to reality. And it's also something that I do as well. I mean, I'm all about goal setting so that you're always working towards something, but goals are something that can change, so if you're working towards something and you know that maybe this isn't actually where you want to go, you'll adjust your goals. But going back all the time to your goals just means that you're working towards a moving target, and it's very hard to get anywhere. Now the next one is a bit of a weird one: branding. Branding is a huge activity trap, and there's a couple of reasons for it. So I work with people who are doing a lot of DIY stuff, like making their own website, making their own, doing their own digital strategies and making it all happen themselves. And quite often people get very caught up with branding because, again, it's a hugely important part of looking right and appealing to the right kind of people online. But you can very easily get caught, again, in an activity trap, in the hamster wheel of branding, like really getting obsessed with a logo. I love a good logo, don't get me wrong, but if you find that it's taking too long and you're going through 10 gazillion versions and maybe you're paying a designer, maybe you're trying to do it yourself and you're going a bit mad with it, don't get stuck in it. Just do a version of it. You can always change it later unless you're getting loads of stuff printed. But if it's for online stuff, don't get too caught up with your branding. Treat it as a project with a timeline, and if you're not happy with the end result, you can go back to it another time. But in order to move forward, don't get caught up with fonts and colours and images and all the various paraphernalia that goes with a brand. If you get really stuck, you can always work with a designer or go to online communities that offer feedback and then just get somebody to make decisions for you. Because when you're very close to it, it's your own project and it's very close to your heart, you want it to be right. Obviously you do, but if it's stopping you moving forward with your business and your project, you're in a hamster wheel, and it's not going to help by changing the font again and changing the colors again. Now websites are massive activity traps, and all the various elements of websites can be activity traps in themselves. The issue that comes up very often with people that I work with is they start too quickly. So I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit here. No, not really. Planning is really important. But if you do too much planning, you're caught in an activity trap. If you don't plan enough, you're going to get stuck into a website design, a platform, content, branding, all those kind of things. And as well as learning the platform, you're preparing content, sourcing images, doing the branding. You're doing too many things at once, and it's going to go around in circles because all of those things take time, and all of those things should be treated as a separate element of a website project. And that's kind of a structure that I try to implement with the people that I work with. And SEO is a humongous activity trap. And that's something that I get caught up in myself, and because you want it to be right, you want to use organic free traffic with Google to get people to find your business, to get people to connect with you online. But when you get into SEO, there are so many like free trainings out there that you can sign up for that show you how to use the keyword planner within Google AdWords, that show you how to apply all these things on page, off site, link building, all these kind of things. So SEO is a massive, massive activity trap. And the way I approach it is writing for humans, making web pages for humans rather than robots. So obviously you want Google to pick up on your site and you want it to rank high and all those kind of things. But when somebody actually gets to your page or sees your description, you want them to click through, you want them to engage with your content, and you want them to actually either contact you or sign up or buy or whatever it is. But in order to get there, you need to have it finished. So write for humans, write for people, design for people, and Google will kind of see that, because they're very smart little robots with Google, and they can tell if you're trying to crowbar in the same keywords 20 different times in one page. But if you write really naturally, those keywords will come. So, but anyway, SEO is a huge activity trap. So all the things surrounding a website project can be activity traps. Social media as well. God, it's a huge activity trap. And so like there's advice out there to build your audience. You go into groups in Facebook, you use hashtags on Instagram, and figuring all that stuff out takes a lot of time. Applying all that stuff takes a lot of time, and looking at your analytics to see what worked and what didn't work also takes a lot of time. So my advice for activity traps, to set goals. Again, this is going back to the planning, so you batching your planning into one session or a couple of sessions, but know when to stop planning and start implementing. Set goals within that planning structure. Set timers and deadlines. Now this is a big one. I use the Pomodoro method, and if you just do a quick Google search on it, you'll see that it's it's based on, those little tomato timer things. I think it's an American thing really, but they're for 25 minutes. So you set it to, I use Google Timer. I just type in Google Timer 25 minutes and I get a timer that beeps at the end of 25 minutes. So I don't have to faff around with apps or anything else. Set your timer for 25 minutes. Know what you're going to do in that 25 minutes. When it beeps, you get up, you walk around for 5 minutes, and then you do another Pomodoro, another 25 minutes. But doing it this way means that you don't get down the wormhole of like social media, or you don't get too caught up with the various elements that can be activity traps in when you're building a website. Now, sprints are something that I've just been introduced to recently, and a sprint is like a batch of work. It's like a Pomodoro really, but you know where you need to get to by the end of it. Like a sprint, like if you're doing 100 meters, you work intensely for a short period of time with a specific goal or target or objective, and then by the end, when you have that done, you take a step back and have a look around at what's the next sprint that I need to do. But you means that you work intensively, you're not getting distracted by checking your email, going on social media, or whatever else you tend to drift off into. So a sprint is something that you can structure your work in sprints. So today I'm going to write the homepage text for my website. That's a sprint. It's very specific, and you've got a deadline in that it's the end of the day. So that's a sprint. And the last thing that, I've got two more things to tell you. Talking specifically about websites, but it does relate to other elements of running your business and like getting found online and all those kind of things, is to work in drafts. So I saw, it wasn't a TED Talk, it was a talk by the guy who made Lead Pages. Now, Lead Pages is a kind of a landing page software that you can subscribe to, and it works really well. But the guy who created Lead Pages said the first version of their product was pitiful and embarrassing. But he says if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you waited too long to launch. And I find that really quite clever because it means you work from A to Z, from idea to implementation to launch, not getting too caught up in the details on the way. You launch it, okay, maybe it looks a bit crummy and you really want to improve it, but then you do a second draft, which means you go through it from A to Z again, improving every element of it, and then a third draft, improving all the time. So you're not starting to get one part of it extremely perfect and then you haven't actually tested it with the market, or you haven't actually seen if it works properly with the people who you're designing it for. So work in drafts, like A to Z, and then go back to A again, and A to Z, A to Z, A to Z. And it's the way that that I work with websites quite often as well. And the last one is accountability. So to avoid the hamster wheel, to avoid the activity traps, if you get like a partner, or if you're part of a mastermind group, you have people around you that are going to keep you on track, and maybe you meet regularly and you know by the next time you meet you will have had to finish all these things, which is something that I always had. When you work in agencies and when you work with colleagues, you know there's a deadline and you know you're going to have to present something by the end of Wednesday afternoon. So you're working towards something and you know that somebody's going to be looking at it at the end. So when you work for yourself, you're kind of your own boss, you're your own the person who's going to be testing everything. So if you could get accountability, it means that you know you're going to get out of your own head for a start. So accountability can come in the form of maybe you've got somebody that you meet up with every 2 weeks, every month, to do like a mini mastermind, or you can join like a mastermind group, or you can work with like a coach or somebody with whom you meet regularly. And I find if you're actually paying for it, you're probably more inclined to put all the effort into it. So all that being said, I very often find myself in the hamster wheel, quite often with video as well. So I sometimes record little tutorials and videos for my website to help people to develop their own website, and I get really caught with video in that I re-record and re-record and re-record, which is why I started doing Facebook Live, because it's live. You make a mistake, it doesn't really matter, you have to keep going anyway, and then I'll use these videos again on my website. So I hope that was helpful, and that you're all getting along very well in this June heat. It's kind of fried my brain a little bit. It's been hot for such a long time that I've just kind of lost my mind slightly. But if you're working on a website project or working on promoting yourself online, I actually have an offer on at the minute. It's a summer sale, a sizzler. So it's a 3 for 2 offer. So instead of just getting single sessions or getting a whole bunch of sessions, you buy 3 sessions and it's the price of 2. So you'll see that on my website, clairecreative.com, and there's a book now button where you'll see that offer. Okay guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.